Suikoden is a JRPG series with a dedicated fan base and a massive legacy within the genre. A signature of the Suikoden series is the gathering of 108 stars of destiny, which are characters you can recruit to join your cause. Each game features a large number of recruitable characters, each with their own backstories, personalities, and roles in the story and gameplay. The large cast of characters provides a ton of customization to help you decide who you want to fill out your 6-man party with. Another core element to the Suikoden series is its true rune system, which ties into the gameplay as well as the lore. There are 27 true runes that act as a source of all magic and the driving force behind many of the series' major conflicts and events. Each true rune has a distinct power and ability that reflects its nature. While each game in the Suikoden series has its own self-contained story and setting, it is a shared lore where characters or families may reappear, and the political events and wars in one game might be referenced or have repercussions in the next game. Without getting into all of the specifics, some games are direct sequels of one another, while others are going to be prequels. The world map though expands with each game, revealing new countries and cultures while maintaining the consistency in its historical context. There has been a spiritual successor to this series that now goes by Eiyuden Chronicles. They have 2 games out currently, Eiyuden Chronicle 100 Heroes and Eiyuden Chronicles Rising. This is part 2 of explaining every JRPG series, so if there is a franchise that's missing, be sure to check out part 1, which I'll also have linked at the end of this video for you to get into. The Mana series is a spin-off of Final Fantasy, known for being an action JRPG in a time when most were turn-based. The stories often revolve around a mystical power of mana and the mana tree. The earlier Mana games built a reputation by featuring multiplayer, which enhanced a lot of players' experience by being able to have a shared adventure with their friends who could hop in whenever and play as the other party members. The Mana series generally features an amazing OST and a vibrant and colorful art style to complement it. The Mana series also introduced gameplay mechanics into the JRPG genre, such as the Ring Command menu in Secrets of Mana or the Land of Creation system that's present in Legends of Mana. Each game in the Mana series attempted to try something new which provided a unique experience, so I've tried my best to include the core things that people loved about the franchise. For the longest, this series has been just a nostalgia rush where new games were just ports and remakes, but recently Square Enix revitalized this franchise with an all-new mainline entry, Visions of Mana, which will be releasing later this year, August 29th. The Xeno series is broken down into 3 different sub-series: Xenogears, Xenosaga, and Xenoblade. 2 of the sub-series can be considered JRPG classics on their own. These sub-series are only linked by common themes and having the word Xeno in their names. The themes that you'll generally see in the Xeno series games is they attempt to mix sci-fi elements with psychological, philosophical, and religious themes. Let's start by discussing Xenogears, which many consider the best JRPG to ever be released on the PlayStation 1. The biggest selling point for many fans is its complex and original story and the cinematography. The story follows Faye, who suffers from amnesia after his village is attacked by giant robots called gears. Faye accidentally activates one of these gears while trying to defend his village, but instead causes significant damage. Faye then decides to leave the village in guilt and confusion and uncover the truths about his past and the abilities that he possesses. That's just a slight preview, but things obviously get significantly deeper. And a fun fact about Xenogears is it was actually pitched to be the plot of Final Fantasy VII, and then when that didn't work, it was then pitched to be the sequel to Chrono Trigger. Obviously, it didn't become either of those, and Xenogears released as its own standalone title with Square Enix, but the creator decided to leave and start his own company, and this is where we get Xenosaga as well as Xenoblade. Xenosaga is a trilogy and the spiritual successor of Xenogears. The series features well-developed characters with deep backstories and complex motivations. Similar to Xenogears, Xenosaga features philosophical and religious themes that are well explored, but this time the setting is going to be in space. The story follows a group of characters as they face both a hostile alien race and a human faction fighting for control of an artifact connected to godlike energy. I've already talked about Xenoblade in part 1, so I don't want to repeat myself here. I just wanted to revisit the Xeno series as a whole, since the first time I didn't do it justice by only speaking about Xenoblade. If you like JRPG content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video. I'm so close to hitting 20k subscribers and I need your help with this final push. Thank you for taking care of that. Now let's get back into the video. Shadow Hearts is a series known for its dark gothic atmosphere and unique combat system. The games are set in an alternate historical periods, combining real-world locations and events with fantasy and supernatural elements. Adding to its dark gothic tone, in the first two games, the protagonist can fuse with different monsters that's going to change his appearance as well as enhance his abilities. Within this dark setting, the Shadow Hearts series attempts to weave in humor, shooting for a blend of horror and comedy. A signature of the Shadow Heart franchise is the Judgment Ring, a mechanic that adds an element of skill and timing to its turn-based battles. You have to hit the specific zone on a spinning ring to perform an attack successfully, and if you miss your timing, you're gonna lose your turn. A spiritual successor for this series titled Penny's Blood was recently launched on Kickstarter and is now fully funded for fans of this series to look forward to. The Nier series has developed a cult following, but I suppose you could say that for all of these franchises. But the Nier series features 6 games that are in the same universe but are self-contained stories. The 3 Drakengard games set the stage for the Nier universe, with one of the endings showing events that directly led to the creation of the world that we see in the Nier games. Nier games generally feature a branching narrative with multiple endings, providing different perspectives or even additional context to the story. The 3 Nier games after Drakengard are set in a post-apocalyptic world that doesn't shy away from heavy and tragic storylines, which gives the story significant weight, impact, and meaning. The most popular and critically acclaimed game in the Nier series is Nier Automata, which is set 100 years after the original Nier game during a proxy war between alien-created machines and human-crafted androids, and Nier Automata is going to be focusing on combat androids 2B, 9S, and A2. When trying to put my finger on what is the signature of the Nier series, I would say it's going to be the intricate storyline, beautifully designed post-apocalyptic setting, and the soundtrack to complement it. Oh, and also 2 Booty, which is probably what many of you recognize when I bring up the game Nier. So wait, forgive me, it needed to be included. It's a popular part of this franchise. Phantasy Star is a JRPG series that has continued to evolve since its initial release in 1987. There are 4 sub-series of the Phantasy Star franchise, each set in their own universe, but share similar terminology and concepts across games, similar to how you'd think of Final Fantasy, but that helps establish its identity and bring continuity to the series. These 4 sub-series are Phantasy Star Online, Phantasy Star Universe, and Phantasy Star Nova. Pretty confusing, but those are them broken down. The original Phantasy Star series includes the first 4 games, which were turn-based and released primarily on Sega consoles. The next sub-series, Phantasy Star Online, revolutionized the franchise by introducing online multiplayer and action-based combat. You could team up online to explore dungeons, complete quests, and battle enemies in real time. Phantasy Star Online 2 or PSO2 continued this legacy with updated mechanics, new content, and is still active today with ongoing support. The next sub-series, Phantasy Star Universe, attempts to offer a single-player experience but also build on the online multiplayer concept from Phantasy Star Online by expanding the universe with deeper storyline, customizable characters, and a more extensive world to explore. Unfortunately, most of the games in the Phantasy Star Universe subseries can't be played today. The last subseries, Phantasy Star Nova, attempts to bring the experience back fully offline, and it's released a single-player action JRPG with similar gameplay mechanics and universe as PSO2. Everyone knows about Mario based on the iconic brand that they've built, but we're going to be keying in on their JRPG spin-off series, Paper Mario and Mario & Luigi. The Paper Mario series started on Nintendo 64 and is still ongoing today with new releases. Paper Mario quickly became known for its signature papercraft visuals and humorous storytelling. Paper Mario features simple turn-based combat with timed commands to deal extra damage, which makes the game more engaging. The Mario & Luigi series is loved for those exact same reasons, except for it doesn't have the paper aesthetic you get with Paper Mario, and the combat is sort of action-based, but in its own Mario unique way. Like the name suggests, the Yakuza series revolves around the Japanese underworld and its conflicts. Despite the serious tone you would expect hearing the name titled Yakuza, Yakuza games often slap humor and quirky characters into the narrative and gameplay. The series embraces Japanese cultures, traditions, and societal norms, offering you a peek into the aspects of Japanese life and customs. The minigames are another focal point of the Yakuza series, with games ranging from karaoke and arcade games to managing a hostess club. Over the years, the Yakuza series has evolved, introducing new gameplay mechanics, working for better graphics, and even taking a shot at turn-based combat with the latest installment. A lot of these games are interconnected stories, but they recently attempted to soft reboot the franchise with an all-new cast but within the same Yakuza universe, and that's the latest installment that I referenced earlier, which is turn-based, and it goes by Yakuza Like a Dragon. The Chrono series technically meets the criteria I set in part 1 of 3 games, but one of these is just a text-based game. With part 2 of this series, I decided to make a few exceptions for games that you guys were loud about in the comments, and this was one of them. The Chrono series extends across 2 actual games that have slightly connected stories, Chrono Trigger and Chrono Cross. Chrono Trigger is viewed by many as the greatest JRPG of all time, point blank period. In Chrono Trigger, a group led by Chrono is accidentally transported through time and learns that the world will be destroyed in the distant future. To prevent this disaster, they travel throughout history to discover how to save the planet. Each character comes with a distinct personality, backstory, and development arc that makes all of them memorable. At the time of its release, Chrono Trigger was genre-defining on several ends, such as having multiple endings, which gave the game a feeling of how different timelines could have unfolded in the story when you're already time traveling. It's built into the story. So it just made it feel like your time traveling had meaning with the multiple different endings you could achieve. Chrono Cross, on the other hand, is like the forgotten stepchild of the series, but it was an ambitious project that attempted to offer 45 different playable characters, each with unique abilities and backgrounds. The problem with that is that having the 45 characters made some of them feel hollow, and you didn't bond or feel as endeared to the characters as you did with Chrono Trigger, and many fans just wanted Chrono Trigger 2, not necessarily another game with a new cast. They wanted to see the old cast continue on their journey. But let's get back to Chrono Cross. The story focuses on Surge and his journey across parallel dimensions to uncover the truth about his existence and a mysterious artifact called the Frozen Flame. Octopath Travelers series features 2 mainline games with standalone stories and characters, but a shared common gameplay style. The Octopath Travelers series is the perfect series for someone looking to relive that 2D art style nostalgia with modern conveniences and an innovative take on traditional turn-based combat. Visually, the Octopath Travelers series is the perfect blend of like that retro aesthetic with modern effects to create a world that feels both nostalgic and fresh. A signature of the Octopath Travelers franchise is to have 8 distinct narratives following the journey of 8 different protagonists. Each protagonist has their own story arc, but playing through all 8 of them slowly will unveil more information about the overarching narrative that connects all 8 of the stories. The Wild Arms series combines elements of the American Wild West with traditional JRPG elements, creating a unique blended world. This fusion includes deserts, cowboys, and outlaws, mixed with the JRPG side of things, which is magic, ancient technology, and mythical creatures. The soundtrack sounds about how you'd expect, but it complements each game well. The Wild Arms games aren't direct sequels of each other, but are set in the same world and share common terminology. Each game in the series introduces new gameplay mechanics while attempting to retain its core elements that define the series from its inception. For many fans, the Wild Arms series represents a classic era of JRPGs, invoking that nostalgia for like an old school gameplay style and storytelling. A spiritual successor for the Wild Arms series has been named, and it's going by Armed Fantasia and has been kickstarted and funded, in case there are any fans out there who weren't aware just yet. Monster Hunter is primarily an action JRPG where you do as the title suggests, hunt monsters. They tackle this uniquely by focusing on the hunt, where you'll have to track down the monster in a large environment before the battle. The stories are not interconnected, but you'll see terminology and popular monsters transfer from game to game. The signature of the Monster Hunter series are their weapons, armor, and multiplayer hunts. The weapons act as a class system that offers unique different gameplay styles and strategies for whichever weapon you decide to main. The next core element is the armor, which is generally designed to appear like the monster that you have to hunt in order to get the materials to craft it. Adding these two components with multiplayer makes for a fun franchise where you can pick it up, go on a short hunt with friends, and put it down if you need to. The No Kuni series is known for its beautiful art style, with its earlier games being in collaboration with Studio Ghibli and future games just taking inspiration from their designs. The overall aesthetic of the No Kuni games provides a relaxing charm, and you just feel like you're playing a live Studio Ghibli movie. No Kuni Wrath of the White Witch and No Kuni 2 Revenant Kingdom are each self-contained stories, but Revenant Kingdom takes place 100 years after Wrath of the White Witch in the same universe. Certain locations and lore elements from the first game appear in Revenant Kingdom to tie in the different universes. No Kuni Crossworld is the newest game in the series that's a mobile MMORPG, but it has no connection to the other two games aside from its aesthetic and terminology. Golden Sun is a series that was released only on handheld consoles. A unique concept about the Golden Sun series is that in the first game you played as Isaac, attempting to stop an anti-hero group from releasing alchemy into the world, but in the second game, which is a direct sequel, you play as the surviving members of that antagonist group in the first game. A key element in the Golden Sun series is its use of synergy spells, which are used in both battle and solving puzzles. Dot Hack is a series meant to be played as a video game while watching the anime to build its world. The core element of the Dot Hack franchise is the world, which is an MMORPG within the storyline of Dot Hack that allows players to immerse themselves in it with VR technology. Dot Hack explores concepts of virtual reality and the social dynamics within an MMORPG, including player interactions, PvP, guilds, and in-game events. The Dot Hack series really thrives off the mystery and underlying conspiracy each sub-series story generates, and it was Sword Art Online before Sword Art Online was released. Dot Hack though is broken into two different sub-series, Dot Hack and Dot Hack GU. Dot Hack follows Kite and Black Rose and their attempt to find out what caused the sudden coma in their loved ones who were inside of the world. This encompasses the first 4 games and a few of the earlier anime series. The other sub-series is Dot Hack GU, which focuses on the player Haseo's search for a cure and revenge after his friend was killed by a player known as Tri-Edge in the world R2, but left in a coma in real life. This spans 3 different games and a few anime series as well, but recently it was repackaged as Dot Hack GU The Last Recoded, which includes all 3 of the games. Breath of Fire is a series that's been shelved by Capcom, but still holds a special place in JRPG history. None of the games are connected, but are generally just retelling the same story with slight adjustments. That being said, the series can be explained pretty simply as they found a story formula and continuously repeated it. Ryu, no, not that Ryu, not Capcom's favorite Ryu, but instead the blue-haired kid named Ryu, who is a part of an extinct dragon race who can transform into dragons. He's going to be fighting off the bad guy, who's usually a goddess named Eve that fears the Dragon Clan and is attempting to exterminate it. You'll always be accompanied by a winged girl named Nina, who's going to act as your female sidekick. Pretty straightforward, but fans recommend playing Breath of Fire 3 as this is unanimously the best iteration of the series' formula. That covers all of the major JRPG franchises, but if you haven't checked out part 1, I'll have that linked here. And then I'll also have a separate video going over the top 10 turn-based JRPGs that you can find in 2024. Thank you for your time, and I'll catch you in the next one.